FM HD1 Raleigh. We're a student-run nonprofit radio station based out of North Carolina State University. I'm Keyvale Wilson, and this is Off the Record. What's good, everyone? You are listening to WKNC 88.1 HD1 Raleigh. We are a student-run nonprofit radio station based in North Carolina State University. I am Keyvale, and this is Off the Record. Today, actually, I am in Ghana and at the Performing Arts Center with the Shoaldiggers, who performed here today. Thank you for your time and having me. So really quickly, do y'all mind summarizing what type of music y'all make?
All I can say is that it's a mix of all the influences that we grew up with, listened to, and are still listening to. I mean, it spans punk music, spans country, a little bit of bluegrass sprinkled in there, and it just comes out the other end sounding great, I hope. And we asked people what it is, and they kind of have a similar answer to me. It's kind of incomprehensible and nondescript. You know, it's hard to put a finger on it, but we we love to try. Does anybody else want to take a stab at that? But yeah, it's a good mix. It's a good mix of a lot of stuff.
Okay, so I know y'all just released a new album called Wind, Wired, and Ways to Wonder. Can you kindly walk me through the creative process for your third album?
Well, the pandemic happened, and as we all know, it was crazy times for all of us. So we recorded the record in 3 different recording sessions. One at a Masonic Lodge in Hillsborough, Eagle Lodge number 19. Thank you, boys. And then the second session at an abandoned Moose Lodge. Thank you, other boys. And the third one at a former Methodist church. So we had all the big M's there. And each one was a little different, but we kept on plugging during the pandemic and did what we could and kept the creative process rolling, hence the wind, the wires, and the ways to wander.
Yeah, Cavell, I'll talk a little bit about the songwriting. Just heard the voice of our boy Daryl White, for chief songwriter. Some of the other bandmates write a little bit. Sometimes we'll lead the songs that we write, so there's a few in there like that. But inspiration comes from, whatever's on the mind. Daryl is a surfer and takes a lot of surf trips in summer, winter, year-round, really, and he comes home a lot of times from the ocean and the beach with tunes, and a lot of the tunes refer to scenes that he's seen on the sand or in the water as well. And there's no formula creative process or anything like that, but I think the songs kind of come, and you better make sure you got your notebook handy because you won't remember the next day. That's been my experience anyway. Beck, anything to add?
Boy, I think you guys got it well there.
Okay, so having so many band members, when you kind of make an album and you'll have like so many ideas and songs that don't make the cut, how do you guys kind of determine things like what actually makes it onto an album, or like things like song order when you have so many people?
That's a good question. We're in the fortunate position after making this last album that we wound up with 5 extra songs that didn't make it onto the album. And the decision-making process is, it's not easy to decide which ones should go on. We love everything that we write. If it gets to the point where we're going to record it, then we definitely want to keep it and make sure it gets out into the world. So that kind of prompted us to get back into the studio again and bring some new material. We've got 7 new songs that we're working now, just final mixing down and adding together with the other 5 that were left over from the other album. But, often we've been really proud of putting our music out onto vinyl, and we're kind of here in the age when vinyl has enjoyed its resurgence and people want to buy albums again. So one of the things that kind of limits us is the number of albums and the amount of minutes and seconds you can put on each side of an actual LP. And so we have to spend a little bit of time kind of wrestling with that. But we feel real proud of the way we got this last one out, and we still have that process ahead of us again sometime later this fall with this new material that we're getting ready to put out.
I'm going to take a quick break from the interview so you guys can listen to Rebar Sunsets by Shoaldiggers. Enjoy.
Some memories I walk past like a beggar who's fit for work. Helpless others I bend down to treat them like my church. Short boards and ceiling fans, nose that needs repair. Smell of old strong memories, but memories don't compare. So spiral down like thankful dust, I smell you everywhere. Once you finally settle down, the worms will be waiting there. Time is just a fixture inside your monkey's brain. Choose the moments that you dwell in, try not to complain. Thoughts are louder in the dark than they are in the daylight. Dreams tiptoe around all day long and they stomp around at night. Memories circle round just like buzzards in flight. They spiral down on dead love, just a building appetite. Behind Rebar Sunset, behind the coming storm, hear that roll call. The genie lives, assemble man, and ghosts they rain down just like cannonballs. They make the bar so beautiful, artistically arranged. Explain to keep all others out while protecting those who remain. Remain inside all the memories in a Mobius of shame. Inside what's floating down this muddy jungle lane. Waking up in paradise.
I am back with the interview with Shoaldiggers. Hope you all enjoyed Rebar Sunsets. Enjoy the rest of the interview. Okay, so my personal favorite song off the new album is Rebar Sunsets. I just really enjoy all the wind instruments in the middle there. Want to go around and maybe give a favorite song off the album?
Well, that's easy because I agree with you. I also like Rebar Sunsets. It's kind of the most dynamic to me. It has a real mood. I'm not exactly sure what that mood is. It's kind of mixed. Maybe mysterious is a good word. Yeah, that's my choice.
I'd love to talk more about the other great songs on the record, but I agree as well. I mean, Rebar has been one of my favorites since we first played it, since Daryl first brought it to us. Listen. The funny thing is, when a new song comes into the band, I personally am a person who listens to music first. I think I focus on that, and lyrics. I sort of dig into lyrics a little later. So over the months after Rebar came in, I started to realize what was actually being sung, and those lyrics really get me. I mean, it's just great songwriting. Definitely a standout for me is Rebar.
Well, thank you guys, but I disagree. Pile of Sins is my favorite song, mainly because of the guitar solo that Dr. Gary Larson plays in that. It makes my skin tingle in such a good way. My second, and I'm not even going to put this in order, not second. New Eagle Blue at Stephen Beck Road is also just a moving song and so beautiful. So those are my two.
I'm going to join with Daryl on this one and say Pile of Sins is at the top of my list, but I will also say this. When we got this album back in its vinyl form from Citizen Vinyl out in Asheville, and we're proud to say that we printed this thing and had it produced right here in North Carolina, because we are definitely a North Carolina band. We took it and sat and listened to it several times over, and I feel like from start to finish, there isn't a song on this album that I don't enjoy listening to and feel super proud of having been a part of creating. So, there's some tops on the list, but everything on this album is a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, Daryl stole my answer, but I'll give it anyway. My favorite tune off the album is New Eagle Blue. It just such a beautiful song, but sonically as well, there's something about it. It just holds together so well, and it just sounds like a perfectly finished piece of art that has come out of Beck, and it's just beautiful, and it just sounds so like perfect to my ear. There's just something about it that I love. And then Pile of Sins is a kind of a tie, or else a very close second. And then also I can't not mention the song off the album called 12 Kings is another one that is definitely one of my favorites. It's just a rocking song and fun to play and great lyrics, and so that's my 2 cents. Anybody else?
So, someone mentioned vinyls earlier. What is it like to press your own album as a smaller band?
It takes commitment from everyone because we put out our own stuff. We don't have a record label. We have helicopters circling overhead looking for us right now. But until they find it, we put a lot of our own money back into the band and back into the funds, and that's how we're able to do it, is for the love of art.
I'd like to just piggyback on that last word that Daryl mentioned, because we've gotten to where it's not terribly hard for us to get into a studio situation and lay these songs down. We've become more and more efficient over the years with this, and even look forward to doing more of it because of how good it's been going. But where we really got stalled in this last effort was in making final decisions about the artwork that was going to be on the cover of the album. And serendipitously, we kind of had we had people all the way in Indonesia even working on artwork for us, and then it wound up being that in our buddy Gary Larson's garage. Our banjo and guitar player Gary pulled out his phone and took some photographs, and that's what winds up being the album cover. So it did take us probably the better part of a year or more to get to that where we will finalize the album cover, but we're hoping this next album doesn't drag us down that much.
Okay, so looking y'all up online, it says y'all are swamp grass, which is, for our listeners, a mixture of bluegrass, folk, and country. But then you kind of also throw like sea shanty / pirate music, I guess would be a good thing to call it. How in the world did y'all as a group arrive upon this unique sound?
Naturally, I would say it comes from all of us and from all our locations and all our experiences. Yeah, I'm from down east. I grew up in the Great Dismal Swamp, so I'll take some of the swampiness there, Blackwater and cypress knees and Spanish moss, and everybody here has come from unique places and has folk and psychedelia and soul and funk and just all over the spectrum, and so we love it all and we try to just play it all and make it our own.
This is Matt, the drummer, one of the newer members of the band. But I would say in my time with the group, we arrived at this sound because of a lot of old souls in the group that really have an appreciation for traditional music, but also want to have a little bit of a modern spin on things too. So that's sort of my observation of how they arrived at this sound.
Just say one other thing. We love to ask people after our live events what they hear, and for them to give us some suggestion of how they would describe our music. And we have on occasion had some pretty good ones thrown back at us. Once when we were down in Carolina Beach, where we will be back in just about a month, one of the guys at the end of the show said, "What do you call this?" And I said, "You tell me." He said, "Acid Jug Band." And I said, "Okay, wow." I didn't realize we went that far out. But another friend of mine at the end of a show we were playing in at the Cat's Cradle said, "You guys are folk bangers," and we're just kind of casting the nets out there to see what people how people could describe us.
He said folk stomp.
Folk stomp we heard tonight, so yeah, we're open to suggestion and still looking around for how to describe ourselves.
Since y'all have so many kind of influences and genres y'all mix into your music, how do you make a cohesive song with everything going on?
That's a really good question and not an easy.
Let me field that one here. Seems to me each song starts with a kernel from an individual, maybe a kind of a duo effort sometimes, and each player brings their strength to it. If someone we're very open-minded. I'd say if someone has an idea that's specific, we'll communicate it and try to accomplish that. Otherwise, we're all just kind of throwing our creative juices at it. And what you hear, I'd hesitate to say it was really orchestrated to sound like anything in particular. It's just all of our particular creative juices going, and that's what you get. And if someone has a specific idea, then we'll try to communicate that.
Yeah, and I'll share a thought on this one, Cavell. So, with a pretty big band, right? Like generally a 9-piece or so, sometimes 10, sometimes less. But in our full format, we usually have about 9 or 10 members on stage. It's a lot going on. It's a lot of instrumentation, a lot of sound, 2 people on percussionist horn section. Also a bunch of acoustic instruments that sometimes have, they've got like a more sophisticated resonant spectrum kind of than just electric instruments, so it kind of adds a lot of complexity. So anyway, there's a lot going on. I was going to say we'll work it out in practice kind of as we hear it, right? But one thing that's been kind of cool about our growth as a group as we figure out how to bring the sound together and make it holistic. But for my personal growth as well, when I started with this band, I was pretty much a novice. Like, I never really performed on many stages or anything like that, and I just wanted to rock out, the whole time. But if everybody does that in a 9-piece band, it's just like a train with one speed, and so it's been cool to learn, like, when not to play. Because in the 9-piece format, sometimes people need to not play, and that actually, like, adds to the richness of the sound. It also adds to your arsenal of sounds you can make, because you've got different combinations and things that you can bring to bear. And then it helps to, we've been working a lot here lately on how to build the energy and then bring it back down, and how to build to the high point of the song and swell and fade a little bit like that. And you can only do that if you're not necessarily rocking as hard as you can every single second. But it's been really fun to me, because for one thing, it's really nice to be able to listen to what else is going on. And so if I'm not playing as much, it gives me an ear that I can hear what my bandmates are doing. I really enjoy that. And then also, then when it is your time to contribute something to the sound, it's like that much more of a contribution. You can hear it that much more because it wasn't there before. Whereas if it's all there together, it can just kind of turn into mud. So yeah, we're getting better at that.
Let me tack a little something on there. I think Chris points out a really important thing. One of the things we've learned to do is learned how to listen to each other, and that comes from a lot of practicing together. You can go back and practice your part and work on that, but it really is about coming together. And we have religiously practiced every week for years and years now in order to be able to do what we're doing. But one of the other things I think is really neat about that kind of listening is I always feel like we're working to help train audiences in how to listen as well, because like Chris said, if we just all got up there and turned our amps up loud and played as loud and fast and frenetically as we could, people would not enjoy this music. We're teaching them how to really hear what we're doing, and it's a lot of subtleties that come together. Sometimes it's a subtlety as big as a freight train, but other times it's a whisper that's flying over top of the waves of the ocean. So that to me is one of the great things about playing in this band and witnessing people enjoying this music.
So speaking about kind of so many instruments y'all play up there, one of the unique ones I saw was a musical saw. Does anybody want to speak about that real quick?
None of our saw players are here.
Oh, really? Okay.
You want to mention something?
Yeah, passed down from the Appalachian traditions. The musical saw has been around for centuries. I think just from the lumberjacks getting into that jack cider and just like we don't have anything else, we're going to, this thing can sing. So we're really lucky. We have two of them now. Our alto saxophonist, Allison Zirkle, plays the tenor musical saw, which is the deeper saw. And then our tenor saxophonist, Steve Coles, plays the really high-pitched alto musical saw. So people have heard it here or there, but I guarantee you haven't heard two of them, and they harmonize great together, and they make us feel a little funny in a good way inside, and we love it.
Okay, so I heard y'all talk about Cat's Cradle a little while earlier. What are some other of your favorite venues that you performed at?
I'll take one. We've played at Nash Street Tavern in Hillsborough a lot, and it's always an interesting experience. It's a small place, and as our band has grown over the years, and some shows we end up bringing only 4 or 5, and some shows we bring everybody. But we've played a few at Nash Street where we bring 9, and it's always makes me nervous, and I'm wound up. But once we get in and it's time to go, it's one of my favorite experiences to be crammed up there shoulder to shoulder and just blasting, with everybody. So I'm going to throw one out for Nash Street Tavern because I do enjoy playing there with everybody.
I got one. I mean, there's, when you ask the question, it makes me think of sort of some of the premier gigs we've had, which, I think one, we had the enjoyment to open for Southern Culture on the Skids at Full Steam a few years back. Motorco, yeah, sorry. And that was a pretty cool one. Really enjoyed playing at Shikori Hills. But because of our format, you actually saw it earlier here tonight, we can hold our own pretty good without any amplification or anything at all. Fundamentally, there's nobody that can't don an acoustic hat and just play out in the woods or something. And I love those big sound stages, and it's really fun to rock out like that. But some of my most favorite performances have actually just been sometimes at like on a street corner or at somebody's party or something like that, when we're just kind of playing acoustically, and it's keeps a lot of the same stuff, and it's the same songs, but it's different too, and I like that a lot.
Somebody's got to say it. Go ahead, Beck.
Well, we'd be lying if we didn't say that we really do love the Tiki Bar, maybe best of all. And it has a lot to do with the fact that whenever we get to play there, which is we've been very fortunate over the years through the wonderful connection with Dave and Abby, the owners of the bar and restaurant there, Ocean Grill and Tiki Bar. They're old friends of our man, Carolina Beach. Daryl White's old surfing friends have gotten us down there, and we're going to be back down there on August 17th. So we're like chomping at the bit to see July and its heat roll away and get down to the beach and get our feet in the sand and back in the water. Hopefully everybody is going to be able to get down there and join us up on the pier.
Okay, so after a long performance or jam session, what's kind of like a go-to food or restaurant of the band?
Nick, you want to take this one? We are blessed in that our tradition as a band has evolved for years and years, even before our current situation, that at band practice we have home-cooked meals made for us. And previously it was a lot by Chris and his wife Megan, who also used to play with us, and we practiced there, and every practice just delicious home-cooked meals, and sometimes we help supplement. Now we're at Dr. Gary Larson's house, and his wonderful wife, L.A., Leslie Ann, is making amazing food for us. And so we really do. We sit down together, and we eat, and we discuss, and we laugh, and it is the heart of this band.
I want to add a little something into that because I think the question had some. What Daryl said, I really appreciate, because it is one of the things that I think is a reason why we're successful. Because not only do we get beautifully fed well by these loving, generous people in our band family, but we also get that time together to sit and talk about upcoming events and things that we need to keep on track with for our business. And that really helps a lot. We're really fortunate that we've been able to keep that as a tradition. But the other thing I would say, I think your question had to do with like after you've just come off of a live concert experience. One of the things, I know my friend here, Daryl White, doesn't like to eat too much before he gets up on stage because we work pretty hard when we get up there, and you don't really want to feel that bogged down. Now, I will say the last Cat's Cradle show, we all might have eaten a little too much over at the Gourmet Kingdom across the street. But one of the traditions that we've kind of worked out over the years is if there is food that's happening before the show, we pack some plates, and we call them our dashboard plates for the way home. So we're often eating food in the trucks on the way home, driving out of the gig, and eating at 11:30 or 12 at night, which might not be good for our bodies, but it sure feels good for our souls.
Okay, is there anything y'all wanted to talk about that I didn't cover?
Nick. We want to talk about Nick. Nick, talk about your wife, Suze. Nick's our newest member.
Yeah, I'm Nick. I'm the newest member of the auxiliary percussion and all the bells and whistles. So my job is just to keep adding new colors, and I'm like Jackson Pollock of the band, and I just keep throwing paint on the canvas, and then I hand some magic eraser to the rest of the guys here, and they tell them, take away what you don't like. So, what was it? Oh yeah. So my wife Suze is, I guess, kind of become the band mascot, concert dance leader. Yeah. So she's got the workout moves, the 1980s workout moves. Yeah, she gets everyone going. So that's a lot of fun. Yay, Suze.
Do you mind telling the audience where they can find you at? Social medias, all that.
Yeah. So we're on Spotify. You can find us on any of the audio streaming services. We're on all those. We got a YouTube channel with a few things up there and more coming all the time. You can find us at shoaldiggers.com, on Facebook and Instagram too. And let's see, did I miss any else? Well, we showed up on Bandcamp recently with some hot albums for sale, and we don't have any merch there. You'll have to come see us for that. But yeah, we'd be happy to ship you a record if you order it on Bandcamp. Yeah, the best way to stay in touch with what we're doing is to sign up for our email list on our website. Just go enter your email. We don't bug people too much. Pretty much just useful stuff about good shows coming up in the area.
Just want to shout out to the group who put a lot of time and attention a while back into coming up with a really unique name. The Shoaldiggers. There's not any other Shoaldiggers out there in the world. But that means it's pretty easy to find us because we own the domain, and it's just straight up Shoaldiggers on Instagram and all that. So if you can remember the name of the band, you'll be able to find our channels.
And one more thing, shoal does not just mean a shallow sandbar. It means a large group of individuals. And when you're digging it, it's digging it. So that's what we like to think of. We're a bunch of people digging each other, and hope you dig it too. Shoal power, Shoal Army, join up.
Thank you all for tuning in to this interview. You can check out other interviews at WKNC.org/podcast and click on Off the Record. I'm Kivel on WKNC 88.1 FM HD1 Raleigh. Thank you for listening and take care.